Hello guys, welcome to One Brain Innovation. Today we are going to learn what is dependency injection and how we can make use of it. So what is dependency injection? Dependency injection is a software design pattern. It allows us to develop loosely coupled code. The intent of dependency injection is to make code maintainable. Dependency injection helps to reduce the tight coupling among the software components, and dependency injection is reduces the hardcore dependencies among the your classes by injecting those dependencies at the runtime instead of designing time technically. Uh, so today we will see how we can implement a dependency injection in C#, and I'm just going to use .NET Core. So I have Visual Studio 2022 installed. So if you guys don't know how we can go ahead and create a new project, here we'll get an option called create a new project. Please go ahead and do that. And I'm going to take a ASP.NET Core Web API as an example. I'm just going to create a project. I'll just call it as dependency injection, or we can say that like example. Please go ahead and create a project. Yeah, here I'm just using the framework .NET 6.0. Just go ahead and create it. So here, what we can do, I hope you guys created a project. So next we will see like what else you can do here. So let me so now once your API is ready, so next what you can do, you can just like look at the what are the things we have here. So by default, it got created a weather forecast control, so we can get rid of this controller. We will have our own controllers. So uh, just like you can see some of the code and methods just been written over here. So I think people who are already done ASP.NET MVC, and they'll be knowing what is it exactly. And if you guys don't know the basic concepts of Web API, so we will have a separate class for that. So I'll explain you in detail like, what is a Web API, how we can achieve that. So let me go out with the things now. So now I'll just take an example. It's very easy for people to understand. So say that like we'll take an employees, because why I'm taking this taking an employee as an example, because most of us when you're trying to learn something, so we'll take employee or employee operation as an example. So here also we'll try to do the same thing. So here I'm just going to create a class where it'll just like try to give us some properties. So I'm going to just have a class. I'll create a, let me say that like I'm just going to have a folder called as models. Just go ahead and create a folder called models, and just like add a class, call this class as employee. New item, call it as employee. Just go ahead and add it. Yeah. So here, what all the properties I need it, I can just go ahead and define it. So I'll just teach you a shortcut ways. So if you want to define any properties, you can always use shortcuts prop. So double tap it, so it'll just create a property. So here I'll just like create a property. I'll call this as employee ID, and I will have one more property. So again prop. So I will just choose employee name. So I will try to keep it as simple as possible. So if you guys have any queries or something, I'll be providing our contact details, so you can just always get in touch with us. And yes, so we are done with the creation of our true properties. So which is present inside this TI example and models. This is the namespace for us. Next, what we can do here, we can just like have a interface defined here. So thing is like we will have an interface folder, and what I want to do here, like first of all, so why do we need interfaces? So interfaces, it acts like a blueprint for your application. So when I say blueprint, that is something like just imagine that if a civil engineer he wants to test code with the construction of any building, so obviously we'll have a blueprint ready, so that like you'll have a base idea of like how we'll be developing the application. Oh, sorry, developing the building. So similarly, here we will have the list of interfaces. So something like it's a like blueprint for us. We will define the interfaces. We'll keep the interfaces ready. So accordingly, people can start working on it. So how do we call it as a blueprint? Because like if you guys already created interfaces, we'll come to know what exactly. Because if we here in interfaces, we'll have only the declarations. We'll not have any implementations. Let me take an example here. Like I will declare an interface here. I will declare an interface. So usually, if you want to do anything like that, please always maintain something in the folders. So it's very easy for anyone to identify it. So I'll just like I have created a interfaces folder. So I don't need this anyhow. It will be added into the CS project. So here I'm going to just call this class as iEmployee repository. I'll just add a class. I will call it as, sorry for that, actually it should be interface. It should be iEmployee repository. So as of now, what I want to do, I want to only get the employee details. That's it. I don't want to do any other operation. So that like in my interface, I am going to have one method defined inside of that. So what I want to get, I want to get the list of employees from this method. So I'll just say it's a list. So I hope you guys remember, like I have created a model here. So that model is employee. So I'll just call it as employee. Uh, yeah, that's it. I guess not employee repository. It should be only employee. Yeah. So I think we should be able to include that. Yes, I just want to use this. So I will just call this as get employees, and get employees. It's going to, this is the method. So by looking at this, what do you guys understand? So I have just declared a interface. So in this interface, I'm clearly saying that, okay, I want to have a method. So this method should always give me the employees. So whenever you want to use this, I don't know, interface in anywhere or any of your classes, so you whenever you are implementing it, you have to make sure that that is getting deployed, or like that is getting implemented. What are the methods you have been defined here, right? I hope this is something it gives a better clarity on the interfaces. So okay, now we are ready with the interface. Now we are ready with the models. So next, what do you want to do? So you need to implement the proceedings, like return some sample data. And as our target is to understand the dependency injection here. So let us come back to the dependency injection. Like this is something like a very basic things. And so here we will not try to fetch any data from the database. Rather than we'll just have some hard coded code here. Okay. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create a class. I will just say, I'll create one more folder. I'll just say classes. So because any classes, created, not only the folders, like if you guys really think like, okay, we can have a multi-layer kind of a structure, and like a business layer, data access layer, you can always go ahead and create your own projects, so that like, all the classes and everything is maintained separately. So here I'm just like trying to keep it very simple, so that like people will understand much more better. So yeah, so I'm just going to add a class here. I'll call this as a employee repository. I will call this as employee repository. Okay, I hope you guys are following me. I think something got wrong here. Let me just delete again. I could have renamed it, but I just want to play it again. I will just call this as employee repository. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So what I want to do here, I want to just inherit that interface, whatever I created. So what is the interface I created? I employee repository, which has a method get employee. So here I'm just going to inherit that. So you could see here, first you need to include that using. So here you can see that here, guys. Look at this. What is it saying? So you need to have that implement, like what are the method that has been defined. It has to be implemented here. Otherwise, it will not allow you. So it will just say employee repository doesn't implement the interface member. I employee repository dot get employees. It is clearly saying first you have to just go ahead and implement this. Yes, I'm just going to implement this here. So you can just say all the errors are gone. So we are fine now. So we have created interfaces and we have implemented here. So here, as I said, I'm just going to not going to call any database here. I'm just going to just have the hard coded value. So I am going to create a list here, list of employees. So the moment I typed it, I got a like intelligence saying that okay, this is what you want to do. Yes, exactly. So I'll just tap it and I will say, let me, as of now, what I can do, I can just like create few objects here, and I can just try to add it to the list. So what I will do, I'll just yes, so exactly here. So I can just say I want to give employee this one and employee name. I want to give it as Sachin. So next, I'll just add this here. So next, I'm just going to have one more employee object. So I'll just call it as employee. Let me call it this one, employee one, and employee two. So let me just have an object. Okay, let me give ID equals to 2 and employee name equals to Rahul. So we will just add that here. Exactly, yeah. I just want to have the same thing. Okay, so I as of now just added only few employees. So end of the day, I just want to return the employees here. So I'm done with this. Like I have just like implemented it and it's like returning something. So assume that we are not aware of the dependency injection now. So then how we will expose the get method from API? So we will use to create an instance of create like employee repository and the call get employees method using that instance. So says like for tomorrow, if there is any change in the get repository, employee repository, it will directly affect the get method of the API. So if you guys don't know what is the get method of the API, and you just have to just go back and understand what is exactly the get and post and delete and all other what are the things we have with respect to API. Okay, so that is what we have done so far. So now what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to have that get method. So I think I already have a controller which I have it here. So just say if you look at this, uh, what I will do now, I'll not use the existing one. I'm just going to create a new controller, or else I can just go ahead and use it. Yes, you could see here. I'm just going to use MVC controller empty, and I'll just say add, and I will call this as employee controller. Yeah, I just added a employee controller. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to inherit from the control base so that like it will just treat it like a web API. So if you just go inside of this controller base and check it out that what exactly we have, you can see that like we have response, request, HTTP context, controller context, we do have everything over here. So I have done that. So let me just go back and instead of saying I action result, I would like to put this as a API controller. I'll just take this out and make it as a API controller here. Yes. And next what we can do here, I would like to have a constructor. We'll create a constructor later, but I would like to have a method where it returns me the list of employees. So I'm just going to take this method as it is. So I'll just go ahead and take this here. So I'll just call it as get employees. So I'll just call it as employee. I think I should be able to get this employee from TI models. Yeah, and what I want to do here, I just want to call that method which I created just few minutes back. So I will create an object for my class. So the object will be something like this: employee repository. So yeah, so I'll just include this here. Yes, employee repository. Yeah. So I'm going to just call that method. I'll just say return employee repository dot so get employees. So yeah. So now this should return me. This should return me the employees. So here, what we have here is, if you look at this, uh, if you look at the what we have here, we're just creating an object for that, correct? We're just creating an object and we're trying to fetch the record based on that. So with the .NET framework, we used to use containers like Ninject, Unity, Light Inject, and Autofact, and to know just to make sure that we achieve the dependency injection. But in .NET Core, Microsoft itself, they have provided the inbuilt container. We need to add that namespaces. That is something like a Microsoft.extension.dependency injection. So that in the startup class, inside the configuration service method, we need to add our dependency injection to the service collection, which will dynamically inject whenever and wherever we want the project. So also we can mention which kind of instance we want inject. So there are like many lifetime instances we can see that like there is something called as transient. It creates an instance each time when there are requested and never shared. So it is used mainly for lightweight stateless services and singleton. This creates only singleton instances which are shared among all the components that are required. Scoped. It creates an instance once per scope which is created on every request to the application. Yeah, this is what we can see. So we will go to a startup.cs class. Let us go back here, and yeah, we should be seeing that program.cs. So here you could see here a lot of things where you can see create builder, add controllers, swagger. So we do get everything over here, right? So where do we go to just have our independence injection here? That is the thing. So usually in the early like versions of our .NET, so there used to be a startup file, so where we can just go ahead and just register ourselves. There will be a method called as configuration services where you'll be receiving all the iService collections and services, and they will say services dot add singleton or add scope followed by the interface and like class name. Here they made it even very simple here. So here what you have to do, if you go back to your program.cs, there will be something called as builder, and this says services, and there must be something called as, if you look at this here, there will be an option where you can just think of adding the scoped or adding the singleton or whatever things you wanted. So it's based on your requirement. So I'll just say add scoped. So here what I have to do, I just have to pass the interfaces. So what is the interface which I created? I'll call it as employee repository, and I want repository to be mapped to employee repository. Exactly. So not the employee, so only the employee repository. Yes. So now registering the interfaces, it is completed now. So now what I have to do here, So the thing is like if you not registered it, and if you are trying to access it and you're not trying to have the object in any of the constructor, it'll just start throwing the exception, because if the things, what are the interfaces which are created, it is not registered over here. So now the registration has been done. So far we have added our dependency injection to the collection. Now it is time to go ahead and inject it where we need it actually. So that is, let us say, in our web API, our get method is inside the category controllers, and there's something, what are the controller which are created, so we want to just go ahead and use it. So here we have the employee repository and the employee controller. So let us create a constructor called as employee controller, which expects the type of I employee repository. So let us go back to employee repository. So you can use CTOR. It will just create a constructor for you. So what I want to do here, so I have to create an object, right? I have to create an object for I employee repository. I cannot keep on go ahead and just do like this each and every time. I don't want that to happen. So I just want to use the dependency injection. I already registered it, and already also I have the like interfaces and everything is generated here. So first thing what you have to do, you just have to go ahead and create a private variable. We call it as private. What is that thing? Like it should be always the interface, and I'll always call it as employee repository. And if you guys want to like name the variables as per your requirement, and you have to be very particular about the things. So next thing what I'm going to do, I'm just going to just do the dependency injection here. Yes, so the moment I typed it, it got me this here. So instead of using this, I'm going to use uh, there's a small correction here. What are the things which I created? I don't have to create here. I just have to go ahead and create in the controller. So just have the same thing. Go ahead and copy it, because I want this dependency injection to be available in this one. So let me go ahead and implement here, because yeah, I have registered here, because there is no point of registering here, because it's not going to it's the same method, right? So we don't have to do anything here. So there's a slight confusion over there, so sorry for that. And see, just have to go ahead and register in the employee controller. So now instead of calling from this object, I'm going to get rid of this object, and I'm just going to call it from this. Okay, so now I have called it. Let us start debugging it. Okay, so now my expectation is this object should be created when you have the dependency injection implemented over here, and run the application, and we'll be able to see the result of get method employee controller. Now, even though we haven't created an instead of employee repository, which is expected by the employee control itself, we are able to get the call method successfully. The instance of employee repository has been resolved dynamically. That is our dependency injection. So I will put a breakpoint here, so that like you guys will understand what exactly it is. And also I'll try to remove that whatever things we are registered in the program.cs, and I'll show you what exactly. Let us see whether we're going to get any exception, or we're going to just get it worked as expected. Let us see that. Yeah. So now what I'm going to do, so just, yep. If you look at it here, what you're getting is to F10. Look at this. And I should be able to get inside of this. Yes. Object has been created, and I got the data. and I should be able to see the results. And if you look at this output window, exactly. So this is the API result which I got it. So let us do one more thing. So I'll just go ahead and uh, just remove that whatever things which I registered here. I'll just comment out as of now. I'll just say restart. Okay, I will try to hit that method again. See what is going to happen now. It is saying system dot invalid operation exception, unable to resolve the service for the type TI example dot interfaces I employee repository. So this is very clear that whenever you want to achieve dependency injections, you just have to just make sure that you just like registering in the startup.cs. So sorry, program.cs. Just like I will just get back, and here in .NET 6 we don't have startup.cs. Just to remind you that, so we have a program.cs where we'll register all our things. We just like uh, these guys have got rid of a mod of the methods which is not at all required. Just like you could see here, compared to the old startup.cs, we have a lot of methods get produced, and we have very simple lines. Just like just go and add it so that it's going to edit register. So I'm just going to restart again. Hopefully this should give me the expected result. Exactly. Yeah, and I'll just say try it out, and I'll say get. Yes, it's sitting here. Yes, and I got the expected result here. So this is all about your dependency injection. I hope this video will help you guys to understand what exactly it is, and also this is the most commonly asked interview question during your interview at any point of time. So, and also when you're trying to develop any application, this is the one thing you just have to keep it in your mind. So that's all it from my side. And if you guys have any queries, you can connect with us through our channel, and you can see our number over there. Any queries or anything. So we do provide training for most of the people, especially from college, and we also do training for experienced candidates. So if you guys are interested, please do let us know. uh, yeah guys, that's all from my side. See you again. I'll be keep on making the videos, and please do let me know in the comments if you have any topics to be discussed, or you want to make videos on that. So please do let us know. We will be all, I mean, we are more than happy to help you guys. And thank you so much for joining. Have a nice day. Thank you so much. Bye bye.